Hi, my name is Phil. I like talking about politics, and this is the second in a series of videos where I'm going to discuss how people could vote and basically help to get the Tories out in this general election in December 19. And this is all about tactical voting. Now, I'm not going to say that people should vote tactically. I'm not going to tell people how to vote at all. However, if you, like me, find it a top priority to get the Conservatives out of government and you see tactical voting is the way to do that, then here follows my advice on it. Now, there are some people who think that it can't be done because there are various numbers being bandied about. Some people said, oh, well, if 30% of Remainers all voted tactically, then that's what's needed to get rid of the Conservatives. There's various other numbers as well. And people are thinking, well, 30% of Remainers, that's a ridiculous proportion of the voting population, even the number of people who will actually go out and vote. That's too many. That many people are never going to coordinate. It's all hopeless. But that's the wrong thinking. They don't need to coordinate. I would agree if we needed all that number of people to coordinate, yes, it would be folly. But we don't. You don't need to coordinate. Coordinating just improves the odds, and I will discuss that. The other thing I will point out is this is not unprecedented. It's happened before. There was a large-scale tactical voting in 1997, the last time we kicked the Conservatives out of government. They lost over half their seats. It wasn't just Labour that gained either, as you might imagine in a tactical voting. A tactical voting situation is really quite a negative thing in many ways, because it's not about getting a particular party into government. It's all about getting a party out of government. So, and as always, it's always about getting the Conservatives out of government. In 1997, they lost over half their seats. And in some constituencies, that tactical voting meant that Liberal Democrat voters voted Labour. And in some other constituencies, Labour voters voted Liberal Democrat. It was all about which candidate has the best chance of beating the Conservatives. So both those parties gained. In fact, some others did as well. So there is form on this. You can absolutely do this. You can vote tactically on an individual basis, and with millions of people doing it on an individual basis, you don't have to coordinate with each other as to which candidate you're going to support in quite a lot of constituencies. All you really need to do on the simplest level, it depends on your constituency, I'm going to show you an example, is look at the past results for your constituency. So my constituency is Scunthorpe. So we'll pop up here the results for every general election since like 1992. I will just point out in 1992 it was slightly different constituency. It included Scunthorpe and another bit as well. But we can see here, now Labour have held it for all that time. It's been a Labour seat. Sometimes the margin's been fairly robust, sometimes not so much. The margin's not amazing at the moment. However, you'll notice in 2017, Labour did improve their standing compared to 2015. And also UKIP sort of fell away a little bit. That sort of helped the Conservatives. Now, if the Brexit Party are going to field a load of candidates, and if they're going to field any, you would think somewhere like Scunthorpe is a good one for them to field it in. I can still see in Scunthorpe that splitting the vote with the Conservatives. What I'm trying to say is in this scenario, of course I'm going to vote Labour. I normally would anyway, because I would vote Labour because I'm a Labour supporter, I'm a Labour member. This election only, I am going to say, just to be clear, so there's no hypocrisy here, if I were living in my last constituency, which was Cleethorpes and Immingham, which is a Conservative, and let's say, I can't actually remember, but let's say the best placed candidate was a Liberal Democrat, I would vote Liberal Democrat. I am voting this general election to kick the Tories out. It just so happens that that still means I vote normally in my constituency. So it is clear cut here. Go back, it's always been Labour, but it's between Labour and the Conservatives. If any candidate was going to take that seat, it would be the Conservatives. So the Liberal Democrats would be nowhere, the Green Party would be nowhere. I'm not going to say UKIP, they're certainly nowhere. But they're also not the ones we want to vote for. But any party you may want to vote for instead, let's say you're a Liberal Democrat supporter in Scunthorpe, if you really want to vote tactically, you would vote Labour. That's the situation there. Now, let's say you're in a constituency where the candidate's a bit closer. It's not always between two. You go back a few years and maybe it's swapped around a bit, or it's just quite close between three different parties. What do you do? So in a scenario like this, you know, on the one hand, it may actually not matter because, again, that coordination is more important in those constituencies. But on the other hand, you could use a tactical voting advisor to improve the odds in your favour. Now, the best for Britain like tactical voting system is the only one that at the moment seems credible. Now, I will say that it does weight Labour equally with other Remain parties. That's not why I'm recommending it. But that is because the tool is designed to do what I am advising, which is to get rid of the Conservatives. It's not to try and rank the parties according to their Brexit credentials, because how you're going to stop Brexit is by stopping the Conservatives. You know, if you do try and rank parties based on their anti-Brexit credentials, it only risks splitting the tactical votes and letting Boris Johnson stay in number 10, which is the disaster we're trying to avoid here. The People's Vote campaign are having a civil war at the moment, so they are utterly useless. They're a spent force. I cannot believe what they're playing at, but that is it. Now, Gina Miller's group also have one that she thinks is more accurate, but I can't possibly say because I haven't had time to really examine it or see what other people have said about it. I will update later in the series if I get more substantial information. Do remember that you're not voting just yet. If you're watching this as soon as I put the video out, if you're watching it in like a month and a half's time, then yeah, get voting quick. Actually, in a month and a half's time, it'll be too late. But at the moment, as I do this, you've got quite a long time to make that decision. And what you absolutely wouldn't do is go onto a tactical voting site 6 weeks ahead of the election and go, oh, it tells me to vote Liberal Democrat, and go, right, that's what I'll vote for then. No, wait until the point at which you're going to cast your vote and check at the last minute. It's partly based on polls. They could change as the campaign gets underway. Particularly important, as I say, the only reason you even need a tactical voting site is in a situation where it's not clear who is the anti-Conservative candidate. When that's not clear, that's when you need it. When it is clear, like it is in my constituency, don't need it. So yeah, use it at the last possible moment. And one thing to watch out for, there are a couple of things I suppose to watch out for. One is, so there's the Remain alliance as well in the picture. I was going to say muddying the waters, but actually it's quite a good thing. So the Liberal Democrats, Plaid Cymru, who are the Welsh nationalists, and the Green Party have formed an alliance along with some of the independent group as well. And they have divvied up seats. So basically there's 60 odd seats, I think, where only one of them is going to be standing. They've all decided who has the best chance of winning that seat. Now, when you think about that, again, it's on it's slightly different priority to the normal tactical voting. In seats where they're standing against the Conservatives, that's a really positive thing. There are, however, some seats where they have arranged this Remain alliance where Labour and the Conservatives are slugging it out. Now, I am going to say, because Labour haven't taken part in this, this is partly their responsibility as well. Okay, but what I'm going to say is that there is a risk if you vote for the Remain alliance candidate in some of those constituencies, not all of them, most of them I'm sure are fine. There is a risk you split the vote with Labour and let the Conservatives in. Now, yes, I'm a Labour supporter, but this isn't about me saying don't vote against Labour in such a constituency. You have to vote as your conscience tells you. What I am saying is, don't blindly look at a tactical voting site. Look at the tactical voting site if you feel you need to. Still look at those past results in your constituency and weigh it up yourself. It's your decision at the end of the day. Blind faith is what Brexiteers have. Let's think about it, shall we? And also, I would just say, try not to follow advice that splits votes and lets the Conservative candidate in. Just think about it. But anyway, some of the advice will, of course, be in constituencies where it's between Labour and the Liberal Democrats. These tactical voting sites will give you a choice in every constituency. And not all of them do the Conservatives have a hope in hell. So if it's between Labour and the Liberal Democrats, for example, or just two parties that are not the Conservatives, As I'm personally only bothered about keeping the Tories out of power, yes, I would like a Labour government. Yes, I would like a Labour majority government. Yes, even with the bearded wonder. Nonetheless, it's about keeping the Tories out this time. That is of paramount importance. In that situation, obviously, like I said, I don't want to tell people how to vote. Feel free to vote as you'd prefer. I mean, always feel free to vote as you'd prefer, of course. But, you know, take your decision based on the range of issues there. Like I said, when it comes to Brexit, it is really just about getting rid of the Conservative MPs and putting them on the opposition benches, the ones that are left. That is what it is ultimately about. If we do that, we get the referendum. Yes, I know Jeremy Corbyn wants to be awkward about it, but remember the bulk of the Labour Party, including his own personal supporters, not interested in that. They're just interested in the public vote. Yes, Jeremy, you can go off for a few months and negotiate. That's fine. We'll be getting on with the referendum if you don't mind, with Remain as an option. Get rid of the Tories. So thanks very much for listening. Hope you take that advice on board. If you've got any advice that you think is particularly useful, put it in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, then click the Patreon link for further details. And until next time, I'll see you later.